Today I'm very excited. I've got the iPhone 14 Pro in deep purple. So today I'm going to be unboxing it and giving my first impressions on this new iPhone. First things up, we see that the Pro models usually had a black box, but now they have this white box, which is not a problem. The only difference you can tell that this is a Pro now is just by looking at the image that's on the front. I don't have a problem with it. So let's unbox this phone. Let's pull the peel tab at the top and the bottom, and then we open the iPhone 14 Pro. Oh my goodness. This purple is something special. Like, it's really popping out. I've seen a lot of images and pictures on this deep purple, but I've never like really seen it in real life like I am now, and it's really popping out. This has to be hands down the best color that Apple has produced, in my opinion. I saw the space black, but it doesn't compare to this one. It's one of those two colors, the space black and the deep purple, have to be one of the best iPhone colors that Apple has really made recently. So now I am going to set up the phone and I will be right back. So now that I've set up the iPhone, the first thing that you see that is upgraded in this iPhone is the internals. So Apple has decided to use the A16 Bionic chip in the iPhone 14 Pro models and the A15 in the iPhone 14 and 14 Plus models. So that basically means that the iPhone 14 Pro has a CPU that's 17% better in performance than the one in the iPhone 14 and 14 Plus, which is the A15. But the A15 sounds familiar because it is. It's the same chip that they used in the iPhone 13 and 13 Pro. So the difference between the two that they're using now is the one in the iPhone 14 and 14 Plus is actually similar to the one in the iPhone 13 Pro model. So you don't see a big difference between the two when you put them side to side. That's because they've basically used the same chip. It also makes the phone more power efficient. As well as the internals, we've now got an upgraded battery. We will test the battery at a later stage. We only had it for a day, so we still need to just test out the battery and see how the battery drains, and if it's better. It should be better because this is a very heavy phone. We've also got upgrades to the display. So we've got the dynamic island. The dynamic island, one of my personal favorite additions to this iPhone 14 Pro model. I didn't really like the notch because the notch was taking up too much space. The way I like to think about the dynamic island is as if it's a multitasking tool. So it helps you see what your other applications are doing without you actually having to close and go to that application, which makes your productivity even better. And the cool feature that I really found about this is that in clock, you can actually put in a timer and it displays on the dynamic island, which is really cool to me, as well as music. Music, the cool thing with music is that it actually changes to the album artwork. And now with the iPhone 14 Pro models, we've got an even brighter display with 1600 nits peak brightness over the 13 Pros of last year, which had 1000 nits of peak brightness. So basically this just means you have a brighter display on your phone. With the 14 Pro models, we've got a new feature, which is the always on display. I know most of you will already know it if you own a Samsung or another device that have already brought it, but the difference with Apple is that they've just now, besides them integrating it now, they've also used it to adapt to lighting. So if you're in a brighter setting, it will actually dim and it knows when to turn off. It will actually increase the brightness of the always on display. So it always knows what conditions you are in, and it uses the sensor that is on the dynamic island to sense that the phone is now in a darker or dimmer setting. Now Apple has done its thing again with the camera. Apple ProRes is one of the most popular video formats in professional video production and post-production. ProRes is a codec technology developed by Apple for high quality, high performance editing in Final Cut Pro. Apple ProRes RAW applies ProRes compression technology to raw image data from the camera sensor. This delivers the flexibility of raw video with the incredible performance of ProRes in the format ideal to a high dynamic range HDR for content creation. ProMotion has also slowed down from 120 Hz to 1 Hz, which helps the always on display feature. Cinematic mode has also been increased from 1080p to 4K, as well as Pro Action, which has also been amplified in the new iPhone 14 Pros. We will test that in a later video, the Pro Action, to see how good it is with the video stabilization. I heard it's very, very good, but I'm still gonna test it. We're still gonna test it. And this year's low light pictures are a lot better than last year's low light pictures on the iPhone 14 Pros because of the new 48 megapixel camera. The flashlight is also adaptive based off of the distance of the subject. It's gonna flash brighter or as dim as possible, taking into account how much light the subject needs based off of the distance from the camera. So I tested out the video quality in cinematic mode and also in 4K to see how good the camera actually is. And these are the videos that I've taken today of just a day of using it. These are the videos I've taken, but the only downside to it is that it takes quite a bit of storage. So with last year's storage options, the 128 gigabytes would not get you the same features as you would in the 256 gigabyte. For example, you would actually be capped at 4K at 30 frames per second. So in order to get 4K 60 frames per second, you would have to get 256 gigabytes storage option. I chose the 256 gigabyte storage option because I take videos in 4K and I create a lot of content, so I need that extra storage to store on my local drive as well as on my cloud storage. It just helps to have that hybrid mix. That's why you should also consider taking the 256 gigabyte option if you're a content creator, to store files on your local drive as well as your cloud storage. And if you store a large amount of your files on your local drive, then a 1 terabyte wouldn't be such a bad idea. I would like to think that if you do take the 1 terabyte option, you're more planning to stay with the phone for a longer period of time, maybe like 5 to 6 years, over someone that's taking 128 that might take it for about 3, 4, maybe 2 years and then change to a newer iPhone. So my final thoughts are, this phone is amazing. Should you get it? Yes, you should definitely get it. It's one of the best phones that it is the best phone that I've ever owned in my entire life. And the camera is the best camera I've ever owned in my entire life. And I'm just so happy to be holding this phone, to have this phone in my pocket whenever I need it. It's good to have like a 256 gigabyte storage option, because now I know that I'm set for a couple years with the Pro model. It's a good idea to upgrade your storage to the 256 gigabyte storage option. But if you cannot do that, it would be better to have cloud storage. I would say it's better to sacrifice and just get more storage for your device. Let me know which color you prefer, the space black, deep purple, starlight, or the gold. My personal favorite has to be the space black and the deep purple. And those are my two favorite colors. I really love them. And as well as, I'd like to give a shout out to iStore Centurion. They're amazing, good people. They really helped me get the deep purple. Yeah, they are the best store to go to. I always go to them and nowhere else. So if you want to go to an iStore, definitely go check out iStore Centurion. They are the best. And if you get there, let them know that I recommended you, so that they know that I recommended you. I'm very excited to shoot more content with this iPhone 14 Pro so that you guys can see what this phone is capable of, and tips and tricks so you guys know what you can do with this iPhone 14 Pro. I will see you guys in the next video. Let me know what your favorite color is and which phone you have, and I will see you guys in the next video.